Hello everyone, this is Anime Octopus. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's fanfic continues with an intriguing twist in the Naruto universe. What if Naruko was a genius Ōtsutsuki goddess? Part 3. Disclaimer, the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's begin. 2 hours later, Sakura and Sasuke finally arrived at the academy courtyard, where they found Naruko resting calmly against the wall. Her eyes were closed, and she gently bobbed her head to music only she could hear. Sakura frowned and marched over, determined to get her attention. Sasuke followed quietly behind her. Before Sakura could speak, a low, deep sound echoed through the air. She froze. What was that? Her eyes slowly lifted upward. Above Naruko's resting spot crouched a large black guardian hound with a tan underbelly and paws. Its presence was striking but not hostile. Crimson-like eyes watched carefully, and smooth silver horn-like markings curved from its head like decorative armor. A long black tail with a spade-shaped tip swayed slowly. Faint smoky wisps drifted around its back like mist rather than menace. Sasuke, with sharper observation, noticed the shimmering bone-like patterns along its back, more like protective plates than anything dangerous. Naruko opened one eye lazily. "About time you two arrived," she said calmly. "I've been waiting for nearly 2 hours." She sat up, stretched, and snapped her fingers lightly. The guardian hound relaxed immediately, hopping down beside her. Naruko patted its head affectionately. "Good girl, Mira," she said with a small smile. "Let's go. No more waiting." Mira wagged her tail happily and followed Naruko inside, with Sasuke and Sakura trailing behind, still trying to understand what they had just seen. Inside the academy, a small commotion filled the halls as teams gathered for the next stage of the exam. Naruko tilted her head slightly as Mira gave a cheerful bark near the doorway. "Good timing," Naruko said softly. "Stay close, Mira." Sasuke opened his mouth to speak, but Naruko raised a hand gently without looking at him. "Let's keep things calm today, Sasuke," she said evenly. "We're here to focus." Sasuke paused, then nodded in silence. They moved upstairs, passing other students and even a masked instructor reading casually near the hallway. Mira briefly looked at him, then continued without concern. A voice nearby sighed lightly. "Even her guardian thinks I look suspicious." When they entered the classroom, the atmosphere shifted immediately. Several students were already inside. Almost instantly, Ino rushed forward and wrapped Naruko in a warm, friendly hug. "Naruko-chan. I missed you." Naruko blinked, then sighed gently. "We saw each other earlier today." Ino pouted. "You're no fun." "I'm plenty fun," Naruko replied, gently patting her shoulder. "Just not when everyone's trying to focus." Ino stepped back, noticing the attention in the room and blushing slightly. "Sorry." Naruko smiled softly. "It's okay. Let's not turn the classroom into a festival before the exam starts." A moment later, Naruko felt a subtle presence approach. She turned slightly and saw Kabuto standing nearby, holding a folder of notes. He smiled politely. "I brought some helpful information for anyone who wants it." Naruko nodded. "Information is always welcome. What do you have?" Kabuto began calmly sharing details about other participants, their strengths, styles, and general reputations. Naruko listened carefully, absorbing everything with quiet focus. Nearby, students reacted in various ways, some curious, some nervous, others impressed. Naruko remained composed, storing the information thoughtfully. She glanced around the room, noticing different teams forming strategies in their own ways. Then Kabuto added, "There's also a participant listed under a special name, Naruko of the Hidden Leaf. She's considered highly skilled, with unusual abilities and strong leadership potential." Naruko blinked. "That would be me," she said simply. A few students paused awkwardly, then quickly looked away. Sasuke crossed his arms. "I want to know about Naruko's ranking." Kabuto checked his notes again, then hesitated. "Well," he said carefully, "she's known for being highly adaptable, with strong teamwork instincts and rare abilities that make her difficult to predict in battle simulations. But her reputation is more about intelligence and creativity than anything else." Naruko tilted her head. "That sounds more accurate." Sasuke clicked his tongue but said nothing further. At that moment, another examiner entered the room, holding a stack of papers. "All right, everyone," the instructor announced. "Time for the written portion of the exam. Please take your seats." The room quieted quickly. Naruko sat in the middle of the room, with Sakura on one side and Konan on the other. Mira settled peacefully near the front, watching over the room like a gentle guardian. As the exam began, Naruko studied the questions. Some were straightforward, others were designed to test reasoning and observation. She thought carefully, focusing not just on answers she knew, but on patterns and logic. Drawing on her sharp intuition and calm focus, she began filling out her paper steadily. At one point, she briefly closed her eyes, organizing information in her mind in a structured, thoughtful way. When she finished, she set her pencil down neatly. Then she quietly observed the room, not intrusively, but with awareness of how others were handling the challenge. Konan sat nearby, working calmly with quiet determination. Samui appeared focused and disciplined. Karen seemed highly attentive, picking up details others missed. Tamari worked with confident efficiency. Naruko smiled faintly to herself. Everyone here is trying their best, she thought. And for Naruko, that was what mattered most. Zabuza observed the room with his usual sharp attention, thinking to himself that the genin in front of him were full of potential. He noted how certain teammates seemed unusually determined to support one another, especially Naruko, whose presence quietly encouraged those around her to stay focused. Naruko, meanwhile, sat calmly during the written exam, occasionally glancing at Mira, her loyal companion, who rested nearby with a calm and steady presence. Naruko gently polished her training blade out of habit, more to stay focused than anything else, carefully and patiently maintaining it while ignoring distractions around her. After a while, Zabuza announced, "Time is up. Put your pens down." The room settled as everyone complied. He continued, "There is a final question. It is optional. If you choose to attempt it and fail, you will not be allowed to advance in rank. Choose carefully." A wave of tension passed through the room. Naruko listened quietly, noticing the uncertainty spreading among the other students. She glanced at Sakura, who looked worried, then forward again, steady and calm. Naruko raised her voice gently but firmly. "There's no need to scare everyone. Just ask the question properly so they can think clearly." Zabuza paused for a moment, then exhaled. "Very well. Those who choose to stay, pass. This exam is about judgment, not just answers. Being strong also means making difficult decisions." The tension in the room eased as understanding replaced confusion. At that moment, Mira perked up, sensing movement near the building. Naruko noticed it too, her expression softening. "I think someone important is here," Naruko said quietly, almost to herself. Suddenly, the window burst open in a dramatic entrance, and Anko appeared with her usual energetic flair, landing confidently inside the room. She looked around and pointed at Zabuza. "You passed too many of them. This isn't supposed to be that easy." Zabuza raised an eyebrow. "They earned it by thinking." Anko sighed, then turned her attention to Naruko, smiling slightly. "You always find a way to make things complicated, don't you?" Naruko shrugged lightly. "I just don't like unnecessary fear in tests." Anko shook her head but smiled. "Fine. Next phase starts immediately. Everyone, follow me." With that, she leapt out toward the next training ground. Naruko stood, patting Mira gently. "Let's go." Mira wagged her tail happily, ready to follow. The remaining genin quickly gathered and followed them, curiosity and determination filling the air. Soon they arrived at a large forest training area used for survival and teamwork practice. Anko explained the next challenge clearly. It was not just about strength, but about strategy, cooperation, and awareness. Some students reacted with excitement, others with nervousness, but Naruko remained calm, listening carefully. Sasuke made a confident remark, but Anko immediately corrected his attitude with a sharp demonstration of skill, showing that overconfidence could be dangerous in real situations. The message was clear, and Sasuke fell silent, reconsidering his approach. Sakura looked frustrated but focused, while Naruko observed everything carefully, already thinking about how teamwork would matter most in the next stage. When the signal was given, Naruko moved forward first with Mira beside her. "Stay close," she said gently. She created several training clones, each one moving out in different directions to help gather information and guide teammates safely through the forest course. The clones didn't fight or cause harm. Instead, they worked like helpful guides, marking safe paths and keeping watch for teammates. Naruko moved deeper into the forest with Mira, steady and alert, focused on completing the challenge through teamwork, intelligence, and calm decision-making. And as the test began, it became clear that this stage was not about fear, it was about learning how to rely on one another and grow stronger together. Naruko looked over her team with calm focus as the forest training ground stretched out ahead of them. The tower in the distance marked the end of their exercise, and the goal was simple: reach it together while protecting one another and working as a team. She spoke clearly, her voice steady but thoughtful. "All right, listen carefully. We head toward the tower together and stay aware of anything unusual along the way. I'll take the lead since I know this area best." She glanced back at Sakura, then at Sasuke, and finally at Mira, who stood alert at the rear. "Sakura, you'll stay close behind me. Your thinking is sharp, and I want you helping us spot anything we miss. Sasuke, you'll support behind Sakura and stay ready to react quickly if needed. Mira, you'll bring up the rear and use your senses to make sure nothing sneaks up on us." Naruko paused, then added with a small nod, "If we get separated, we'll use our signal phrase to find each other again. Stay calm, and trust the team." Sasuke gave a quiet nod. Sakura followed, determined and focused. "Good," Naruko said, and turned back toward the path ahead. 2 days into the training exercise, Naruko's team had moved through the forest without any real trouble. That only made her more alert, not less. Quiet usually meant something important was being tested. Then her instincts sharpened. "Down," she said quickly. A strong gust of wind swept through the trees, rustling the branches overhead. Naruko braced herself and steadied her footing, while Mira leapt forward to shield the group. The wind passed as quickly as it had come, leaving the clearing unusually still. Naruko scanned the area. Nearby, another group of trainees stood on the branches above: Samui, Karu, and Amoe. They looked equally surprised by the sudden wind shift, as if the forest itself had just changed the rules. Karu crossed her arms. "So you're the ones we've been hearing about. You've been making this training route harder than expected." Naruko stepped forward calmly, her expression neutral. "It's a shared training field. We didn't mean to interfere with anyone else's practice." Amoe tilted his head. "So it's not a competition?" "It's a cooperation test," Naruko replied. "The forest is watching how we handle unexpected encounters." That answer seemed to settle the tension a little. Samui lowered her hand from her weapon holster and studied Naruko carefully. "I see," Samui said. "Then maybe we should focus on passing this test instead of competing." Naruko nodded. "Agreed." As the group continued through the forest, something unusual happened deeper ahead. Naruko felt a ripple in the air, like a signal from Sakura and Sasuke moving in a different direction than expected. "They're separated," she said quietly. Mira stepped closer, ready to move. Naruko raised her hand. "We regroup first. No one gets left behind." She formed a simple hand sign, and a soft glow of chakra spread around her, not destructive, but protective, like a guiding light that marked her presence for her teammates. "Everyone," she said to both groups now together, "we help each other through this." Samui nodded once. "Understood." Karu sighed. "Fine. Let's move." Amoe shrugged. "Teamwork it is." As they advanced, Naruko kept her focus steady, guiding everyone toward the tower. Mira stayed close, alert but calm. The forest seemed less like an enemy now and more like a living puzzle, testing their patience, awareness, and cooperation. Eventually, Sakura and Sasuke rejoined them after following Naruko's signal. Relief passed quietly through the group. Sakura exhaled. "I thought we might be lost." Naruko shook her head gently. "Not if we trust each other's signals." Sasuke gave a short nod, acknowledging the plan had worked. Ahead, the tower finally came into clear view. Naruko stopped at the edge of the clearing and looked at everyone gathered behind her. "We made it," she said simply. "Together." For a moment, there was only the sound of the wind moving through the trees, no conflict, no confusion, just a group of young shinobi who had learned something important about trust, communication, and staying united when things didn't go as expected. And as they stepped forward toward the tower, Naruko led them not as a fighter, but as a calm and steady guide who made sure no one was ever left behind. Naruko brushed under a sweeping gust of wind-shaped chakra, landing lightly on a tree branch as the forest training exercise continued deep into the afternoon. Her teammates from Kumagakure, Samui, Amoe, and Karu, were all breathing heavily, clearly tired after a long series of skill-based challenges. It wasn't a real battle. It was a high-level survival test meant to measure teamwork, focus, and control under pressure. Still, the course was intense, and Naruko had been moving through it with surprising ease. Amoe rubbed his shoulder. She's fast. Too fast. Kaoru nodded, adjusting her gloves. And she keeps changing strategies every minute. Samui watched carefully. Stay alert. She's not trying to hurt us. She's testing how we adapt. Naruko, standing at a distance, held a glowing chakra training scythe, a tool designed only to tag opponents in the exercise, not harm them. She tilted her head, thinking for a moment, then smiled softly. Let's try something different, Naruko called out. This next part is about clarity under pressure. With a flick of her hand, she released a gentle wave of chakra that created shifting light patterns in the air. It was a genjutsu-style illusion used in training, meant to challenge focus and perception, not to confuse or harm. Samui closed her eyes, steadying her breathing. Everyone, don't panic. Feel the rhythm, not the distraction. One by one, the team regained balance, learning to move through the illusion instead of fighting against it. After a few moments, the glowing patterns faded. Naruko lowered her hand. Good. You all adapted quickly. Amoe let out a relieved sigh. That was actually kind of impressive. Kaoru nodded in agreement. Yeah. Less survival test and more mind training. After the exercise ended, Samui helped her teammates regroup and head toward the central tower where instructors would review their progress. Naruko followed at a relaxed pace, letting her team recover while she quietly observed the forest around them. At one point, Sakura joined them after completing her own training path, helping Sasuke walk after a challenging sequence of coordination drills that had pushed everyone to focus harder than usual. Despite the exhaustion, everyone had made it safely through. Inside the tower, Iruka met them with a calm but serious expression. You all made it back safely, he said, scanning their scrolls and nodding in approval. Good teamwork. That's what matters most. Naruko placed the scrolls on the table. We completed both objectives. Iruka sighed, more relieved than anything else. I expected no less from Team 7. As the teams were guided to resting rooms, Naruko stretched and finally relaxed, her earlier intensity fading into quiet calm. A small wolf pup-like chakra companion she had formed during training curled up beside her and promptly fell asleep. Sakura settled into a nearby bed. I still don't understand how she stays so calm after all that. Naruko, already half asleep, murmured softly, because everything has a pattern. You just have to see it. The room grew quiet as everyone finally rested. Then, for a brief moment, a soft golden light appeared. A graceful woman with long flowing red hair stepped into the room. She moved gently, like sunlight itself had taken shape. She looked at Naruko with warm affection. My little sister, the woman whispered kindly, brushing a hand over Naruko's hair. You're growing stronger, and kinder too. Naruko shifted slightly in her sleep, as if she could sense her presence. The woman smiled and placed a small golden pendant beside her, a symbol of guidance and protection. Many lessons still await you, she said softly. But you're not alone. With that, the light faded as quietly as it had appeared. Naruko slept peacefully, her breathing steady, as the next chapter of her journey waited just beyond the morning. Dear YouTube family. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Regards. Anime Octopus.